Welcome to Stay
and Slay
with Mel
and Chrissy.
Hey. It's
Hello.
been so long since it's been just us two.
I know, I'm so excited to be here.
And old location re-unlocked.
Yes, we're back home.
Yeah, back home.
Back
But
home.
it's always nice having a yard and birds.
And birds and children jumping in the pool.
Yeah. For sure.
For sure.
So today we have something
Juicy.
and
We're having a story time.
it's a story time and
We've
also
never
like
had
a life
story
lesson.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. Story time with us because traumatic.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
Let's get into our disclaimer because first, I just want to say this happened like a good amount of time ago now. We've been like wanting to talk about it, but honestly, I had to just like process and like
Yeah.
I'm finally ready to talk about it. I feel like I just didn't love the topic for a long time.
Yeah, and I think it also took us time to process fully what kind of happened because in the moment we didn't even realize.
Right.
So,
Right. Traumatic for sure.
yeah. I also think that basically, long story short, this story time is going to be about just dealing with people that tend to be pathological liars.
Yeah, I don't know what the correct diagnosis is.
Yeah.
But maybe you guys can help us with that today.
Right. And I think everybody has dealt with this in their life. So I feel like, or if you haven't dealt with it,
I
like
don't
Chrissy.
think everyone has, because I think our story is to a level of extreme.
It is. And I think that's why we want to share because we just want people to, I guess, realize
Be
what they
safe.
can do.
And like, don't trust everyone you meet.
Yeah.
And like, it's never your responsibility to help somebody or change someone or, you know, save somebody. We had a friend that was a crazy liar.
Yeah.
To the point where it was dangerous.
It just got out of hand. It got out of control. Like really out of control.
I truly feel, and I know I was closer with said friends, I truly feel I was in danger. Like could have been murdered or like put in a situation that was so unsafe that it would have led to dying.
Well, you were
Right.
put in.
Right.
Her name's Miley.
We're gonna call her Miley because obviously we're not gonna like sit here and ruin someone's life. That's not what this is about. This is about awareness for this topic and
just funny stories.
Not even funny. I feel like this is just entertainment.
Yeah.
This is insane. So basically, we had a friend named Miley, and Miley entered my life. We were in the same major at school, and basically how it worked with my major, we all had class together, the same people all day long. So like I had a group going with like 3 other girls and we were very close. It was very obvious.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden Miley comes around and she gets very close with one of them, not me.
Yeah.
And that girl tells me that Miley has no friends. I feel so bad for Miley. That Miley had no one to go to the bar crawl with, so she was just gonna work it. So I reached out to Miley and I was like, hey girl, I have tons of friends that would love for you to join us on our bar crawl, you know? I let her join me and my friends. When you have a good group of friends, why not allow people to join them?
Well,
you know,
yeah,
that
it's
was my
just-
mind.
Yeah. Invite people.
Why not help somebody out? You
Right.
know? We were friends for a good while. We would hang out here and there, honestly, not that often. We really didn't hang out often.
I think also to give people context, you and I are not friends at this
We're
point.
not friends yet.
We
I
are
barely
not
know
friends.
her.
We know of each other, but we're not friends.
Right, like I don't know you.
So yeah, like I'm not involved in any of this.
And then whatever. So she goes to this bar called me, and then she hangs out with me and my friends maybe like 5 to 6 times between August, September, whenever that bar crawl was, till the last bar crawl at the end of the year in April. Maybe hung out with me and my friends 5 to 6 times.
Yeah.
That's important to note. And then she posts a picture of me at the senior bar crawl with her. And this is the one in April.
Uh-huh.
And I, like, had just lost weight. So I'm, like, looking at this photo, like, I look so bad. Like, Miley is so good at posting pictures I look awful in. And I'm just used to that, like, not liking me in a photo. But then I really looked at it and I was like, wait, I just lost weight. I don't look like that anymore.
Yeah.
So I, like, go back to the original photo and realize that she has photoshopped me to look fat again. That Photoshop photo is when I started to notice things. You know, when you first become friends with someone, you have your little rose-colored glasses on.
Yeah,
Everything's
it's like when you're talking to a guy or
Right.
significant other.
Also, this friend, Miley, randomly decides that she's into the same things I'm into. Out of nowhere, but acts like she's always been into it.
Yeah.
So I didn't question her. So she was, like, wanting to go to all these concerts with me and, like, you know, she wanted to be... What I didn't realize at the time, she wanted to be just like me and our friend, Shay.
Yeah.
And me, her, and Shay, like, had hung out maybe 4 times all together. See, the thing about Miley was she would only show up sometimes. She would always act like she was coming until the moment of come up with, like, an excuse or all of a sudden she has work. But what I realized was she always knew she had work.
Yeah.
She just wanted to please us and act like she was coming. And so then I just thought, oh, she's a people pleaser. So I always let it slide when she would, like, blow me off last minute. Oh, she's just people pleasing, whatever. Basically, me, her, and Shay had only hung out a few times. We had a group chat, but that was it. It really didn't get any deeper than, like, we go out and we drink together.
Yeah.
It really wasn't anything serious. But then one day Shay messages me about something you tell her. Because I don't know Mel, but Mel's also friends with Shay.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them what you find out about Miley?
Yeah. So Miley lived with a few of my mutual friends, and I also have some history with Miley because she lived with my mutual friends. And long story short, she basically brought my name into some unnecessary drama when I wasn't involved in it.
And didn't even know her.
And I had met Miley once. So that was really weird and uncalled for, I suppose. But I didn't think much of it because I wasn't friends with Miley. But like I said, my friend still lived with Miley.
That's creepy.
The friend that just texted Chrissy. I see on my friend's story that Miley moved out. And it was really weird because school wasn't over yet. And I messaged my friend and I'm like, hey, why did your roommate move out? And she's like, I don't know. I literally came home and she was gone.
Yeah, like ghosted her own roommates.
Everything was gone.
Like, how do you just leave your roommates
Just
and not say
left.
anything?
So, really weird. We have no idea where Miley went. Anyway, later that night, all my friends are over, including Shay, our mutual friend, Chrissy and I's mutual friend. And I'm telling all my friends about it. And I knew that Shay was friends with Miley. Everyone, it's weird. It's like invisible string because, like, everyone's connected, but not everyone's
It's like
friends.
a movie.
It's
There should be a
literally
movie
like
made.
a movie, and I hope that everyone is kind of following. But anyway, so I'm telling my friends how weird it is that our other friend's roommate, Miley, just up and moved out. So when I say this, Shay's like, wait, Miley lives with our
Mutual friend.
And I'm like, if you're so close with Miley, how do you not know that?
Right, because Miley always made it seem like everyone was closer than they were.
Yeah, like all her friends are closer
Like on
with her
social
than
media
they are.
and things. And as soon as Shay, like, heard that Miley had moved out without saying anything, and then also finding out who her roommates are, and we've known her for, like, 9 months at this point.
Yeah.
she messages me right away, like, something's really weird about Miley. Like, she's roommates with all these girls I've known all of college, and we had no idea. And I'm like, you're right. I don't know who Miley lives with. So the next time I saw Miley, I was like... Also, Miley didn't even tell me she moved in with her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Which is where Miley went.
Yeah, when she moved out, that's where she went.
Right.
We didn't know that at first, though.
So next time I'm with Miley, I'm like, trying not to be like, why didn't you tell me this? I'm trying to be cool about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what's really funny? You know all my friends, all my roommates. I've never been inside your apartment. Mm-hmm. I've only picked her up from her apartment. And I'm like... Also, I don't even know the names of the people you live with.
Right.
You know, we're on a college campus. Like, everyone knows everyone.
Everyone
so it's
knows
just
everyone's
like,
roommates,
just
too.
like, why would you not share that with me if I'm your closest friend? You know, that's how she acted. And she was just like, yeah, haha. Like, we just don't have the same schedules, and we just don't, like, really get to see each other.
It's like when you're friends with someone and they want to know everything about your life, but you have no access to theirs.
And they want to be into everything you're into, but you can't know one thing about anything. They're roommates, for example. Like Mel was saying, it's a red flag behavior that I know now. If somebody's so interested in you but doesn't want to talk about their life, red flag. Watch out. Pay attention. I'm warning you.
Yeah.
But anyway, 2 weeks after this bar crawl, and literally 2 weeks after Shay finds out that we don't know Miley's roommates and that Miley moved in with her boyfriend, and still, even when I asked her, didn't tell me about. And mind you, I'm picking her up from her apartment when we're doing things.
And like, this is after she moved out.
Right. And my friend who had introduced me to Miley in the beginning of this story is picking her up for class from that apartment building, not her boyfriend's apartment.
She's going to the apartment to get picked up there.
Like she's living there, and for some reason, what I thought didn't feel safe to tell me the truth. I thought maybe like she was embarrassed, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Because my first thought isn't going to be, oh, she's a pathological liar, right? Because I'm a good person.
Well, yeah, and it's just like odd behavior, especially when you're, you know, if you're close with someone, you just feel like that's kind of common knowledge that you should have access to in a friendship.
I'm never going to just assume the worst of somebody.
Yeah.
So basically, 2 weeks later, our worlds get turned upside down.
Yeah. Our friend Shay passes
away, which I'm sure everyone listening knows this. So all the things that previously just happened and all the things we were learning and kind of the puzzle pieces started to like come together.
None of it matters.
They don't matter anymore because we have to take care of our own selves. Also, like, that was my first experience with grief. So I was just, you know, taking care of myself for the next year.
Yeah.
And, you know, then that's where we become friends. And
I think also in that time, it was such, obviously a vulnerable time. You're dealing with emotions that we've never felt before.
Right.
I think also this loss was
so big
and just different because I think obviously everybody is going to experience loss in life
more than once.
You know, I've lost my grandma before and I love my grandma. But that
when it's so unexpected and
young, someone that's your best friend and so close to you, it's scary and real.
So your brain is just like
nothing
off.
Is. I think like the first year after losing her, it was just like not real.
Mode. We were robots.
Yeah, like your brain is not there.
I was going and doing like the most fun, crazy things, but I didn't feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like I even was like dating a guy and it was so easy when it ended. And I didn't want it to end, but it did. And I wasn't even heartbroken because I was dealing with something much bigger.
Yeah.
So worrying about if Miley is lying or not was really not on my plate. There was no room for it. Also, I kind of forgot about all of it because we were going through all that.
And I was not friends with Miley previously.
So me and her start hanging out. We start becoming very close. And honestly, I do think when I became friends with you, I realized a lot about my previous friends. And then I started noticing, like, maybe I don't get treated right. And, like, with Mel, I feel like I've experienced girlhood to, like, a different extreme. I was realizing that my current friends aren't actually great people. So I feel like Mel helped me navigate that, too. And also going through something like losing a friend at such a young age, we also realize, like, who's going to be there for you in the long run and who's not.
Yeah, I think it showed a lot.
It showed a lot about everybody.
Here's the thing about, like, relationships. This goes for romantic, platonic, anything. Your family, no matter what relationship you have in your life, going through a loss is going to show you who's going to be there for you and who's not.
Yeah, true
People
colors.
don't know what to do. And that's okay, but some people don't know what to say. They don't know how to act. They're going to say weird things to you. I've been told so many things that make me angry. Things have happened that made me so angry. And, you know, there's just, like, nothing that you can do because you can't control. And I think that's something I've learned in grief and loss is, like, you can't expect other people to, like, hold that emotion that you're holding.
And I feel like we got so close because we related on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't getting from Miley. And now looking back, like, I realized that is so alarming. That, like, the way Miley was handling grief was so confusing to me.
Yeah.
You know, like, she didn't want to go visit Shay's family, you know, where, like, I didn't understand, like, if you are claiming you and Shay are so close, why aren't you doing those things?
Yeah.
Or, like, I wanted to be at the service all day, the day they had the service, and she didn't. And I was just like, you're going to sit here and post everywhere that your best friend just passed away, but you're not going to act like it.
Yeah.
And, you know, actions speak louder than words and, you know, all the things.
And I think, obviously, everybody handles grief differently. So, you know, like, we have to keep that in mind. But I think...
Which is why it was so easy for me to make excuses for her behavior.
But I think it's like, when you say and act a certain way for a little bit and then the actions don't line up, it's, I don't know, just lots of things weren't lining up and I felt a little bit like taken advantage of in a vulnerable time.
I mean, and we'll obviously get to that point. Yeah. Because I feel like for like a good year after Shay passing away, there was nothing, and maybe it was just me not being here 100%. Yeah. That like really stood out to me. We still hung out with Miley. Miley became one of Mel's friends for a bit too. Like we went on trips together and whatever. But the lies started to come out again like a year later. Yeah. And
well, they were happening that whole year.
They were, but they started to just become
ridiculous.
They got crazier.
They got so crazy.
Sit down because this is where it gets wild. Yeah. I feel like a lot of Miley's lies started to show when it started to deal with men. Yeah. Basically, probably like a year and a half after Shay passed away, she goes on a date with a guy in my friend group who Miley was also very close with. And of course, when she goes on this date, I hear the story from her. Miley tells me how it was like a fairy tale date. Like, she's so excited. Like, he asked to kiss her and like the conversation was flowing and just like they both had butterflies and just all the great things you hear about a good first date. So I'm like, oh, like super happy for them because they're both my friends. Because Miley became the people she was around. Like, she did a lot of things that I did, and then when she became close to Mel, she did a lot of things Mel did. So she was just, I could tell, just like a sponge. Like, she became who she was around.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, if Miley starts dating, what are we gonna name him? Jake?
Yeah.
If Miley starts dating Jake, she'll become this really great person because I love Jake. Jake's a great friend of mine.
Yeah.
So when I hear the date goes good, I'm like so happy that everything's going to be so great. Well, I reach out to my friend who's best friends with Jake, and I'm like, did you hear about the date? Like, how do you feel? What was like your debrief like with Jake? And he's like, oh, this is not lining up. Like, he was saying how Miley had like banged on his car window at the end of the day and like yelled at him for not kissing her when she told me like he had asked for a kiss, and like just crazy things like that, like saying how he doesn't think it's gonna go anywhere. You know, he didn't think that
just
to begin with.
Just like the complete
but,
opposite of what you were told.
Like, basically, she was pursuing him the whole time, and he really was just feeling like, oh, we're going to stay friends.
Yeah.
Crazy. And I'm like, okay, well, I know Miley has lied before, so I'm not too shocked. Flash forward to the summer. We go on this trip. It's me, Mel, and Miley.
Last summer, I was very much into my single era.
Right.
Like,
she was so single.
And I was talking to a Cubs player.
Right.
And during the time I was talking to him, I think was like during our trip.
Right, it was.
So,
yeah.
But I think like you maybe had mentioned it to Miley that I was talking to him. Or
well,
I don't know how
you had
she found out.
posted on your private story.
Okay. Yeah. So Miley knew that I was talking to this guy.
Right.
So she all of a sudden comes out with this other Cubs player.
This minor league Cubs player, but it's so convenient that, because like I said, she becomes literally becomes the people she hangs out with. So interesting that she finds a Cubs player who Mel had also been talking to, a Cubs player.
Yeah. Well,
it wasn't even that serious, too.
Yeah, and no, like, this guy I was talking to was a complete...
Right, we caught on very quick that he was gross.
Like, it was not very long that I talked to him
and you cut him off as soon as he got weird.
Right. To a Cubs player.
I mean, right, you see them on TV, you see them at the game.
But, like, he was so gross. Anyway, so she's like, talking to one, apparently, and she's telling me how she went to, like, the... locker room back there and met all the players, and he like took her not backstage, but like, you know, just like
he took her to some party.
VIP
it was some party and she met all the Cubs players, but he's on the minor leagues.
Yeah, just like all these complete lies that are just not true.
And saying that how they met, he had DM'd her on Instagram, but and I'm like, there's no way he saw your blurry selfie and hit you up. I pretty much figure out, because I went on a trip right before this trip with her, and I saw Hinge and Tinder notifications, which there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Everyone at our age is on them. So I even asked her, like, oh, are you on these dating apps? And she was like, no. And I was just like, okay, I see the notifications on your phone.
Yeah.
Like, you know what those icons
lie?
look like. At least turn your notifications off if you want it to be a secret. So, like, I already know they probably matched on Hinge, and that's actually how it started. And she probably went out seeking a little baseball player so she could one-up you somehow.
Yeah, because it was like...
It was always a competition. She always had to be the best.
Yeah, and it was like if you had something going on, like she had to bring something else. And
she always made it look like her life was so perfect. Like, there was one time, because my parents are very much, like, in love. Everyone knows that. She one time told me, my parents are more in love than your parents.
Like, what?
Why would anyone say that? It's one thing to be like, my parents are just like your parents. But to be like, they're even more in love.
Like, it's so weird.
That is so weird. And, like, I even noticed in school, too, like, I didn't know at the time because I'm oblivious to it all. But before we were even friends, she was always the girl who had her project turn in 2 weeks ahead of time. And she had straight A's and, like, you know, she painted herself to look very perfect. Like, she worked at the bar on the weekends, but somehow got all her stuff finished. Like, like made herself look crazy perfect. And
Yeah.
there was no need for that. Like no one's sitting there like, oh, you didn't turn this one in 2 weeks early. Like, you know, no one cares.
Right.
So she goes out and, you know, tries to one up Mel. And after she gives Mel this whole story, me and her go in the pool and I'm like, dude, like I tell Mel how it was. Like, no, they matched on Hinge. She's sitting there telling you that this
like
and that.
this whole lie.
Also, I'm like, I have her location. I would have known if she was in Wrigley meeting these players. Like, you would also post about it. Anyone would be bragging about that.
It was like so not real.
So
like
not
the
real.
story was just not real.
And we were like
you
in this
know
pool,
when it's
like,
a lie.
We didn't want to get out of the pool. Also, weirdest thing ever. Like, it was the little things too. Like,
just little white
she
lies.
would like order the same thing as Mel and then only eat when Mel would eat it and then stop eating when Mel would stop.
Yeah, like I wouldn't notice that, but that's like weird.
It was so crazy. Like it was all the little things she would do. And
honestly, like people that have that behavior, that represents like borderline personality disorder. And I'm sorry, like I'm not trying to sit here and like diaggnose anybody.
Right, and honestly, I would love a diagnosis.
But I feel like people that, you know, people that have to kind of learn and adapt to other people's personalities, it's because they truly don't know themselves. They don't have their own personality. And it makes me feel bad. And I think that's why for so long, like we tolerated it because we felt so bad. And it's like, we want better for you. And, you know, we call her out. Like, it's not like we're quiet to it all.
I did call her out.
Yeah.
Right after that trip because I was just like, you know, we are not people who make people to feel uncomfortable to be themselves. We are like we're a safe space. And I like remember reaching out to her like, I've noticed these things. I just want you to know like we are here for you. We're on your team. We're not like gonna judge you. There's no need to tell these lies. And she like glossed over it and was just like, you're my best friend, I love you, like blah blah blah, and that was it. Like she didn't even acknowledge like the lies, all the things.
It was really weird. It was like dismissive. And
so that summer we were going on trips together like crazy, and I think that's also why we were spending so much time together in that month of June that I think I was able to notice a lot more fast than I would have. And I like felt bad because I would text Mel or I'd text my other friend and I would be like, this, and that about Miley. And then I never want to be the person talking behind someone's back.
I know.
So I just felt like annoying almost because it's like you're going to sit here and talk about it, but you need to do something about it. So, and like, we're also all friends. So I hated having to do that, but it was just like unraveling so quick that I was like, is this real? Like,
I do also want to say though, it's not like you were texting me like shit talking. I feel like it was more of like
concern. It was more of like a, what do I do?
I mean, like you were struggling, like being friends with somebody who's making up lies about their whole life is so exhausting. You're like sitting there trying to put together a puzzle
which
that's
is why
not real.
It took me so long to be able to sit down and tell this story because she wasted so much of my time because I spent all my time and I didn't even realize it trying to figure it out and try to put these puzzle pieces together. And I would literally sit there with her and be like, is this true or false? Like all day, every day, I hated it. So I couldn't even like give her my time of day to make this video. Yeah. And now I'm like, it's so far past me. But we're going on these trips and I feel like she had trapped me into being her friend at this point because, you know, at the beginning of summer, whenever we made all these plans, like we bought all the tickets and we did all the things. I'm telling you, probably like 4 to 5 trips this summer with her alone. So I kind of felt trapped. Like I'm figuring out she's a liar, but I have all these trips with her. And like, obviously these are all things I want to still go to. Like I spent the money on them. Like maybe I'm just being crazy. Like I would even talk myself into being crazy. Like, whatever. So I felt trapped into being her friend throughout that whole summer. But while we were on these trips, I realized that like she had no care for her own safety and the people around her safety. we had like spent time in New Jersey to see Damdala, and we decided to stay there for the 4th of July. I didn't know that Atlantic City is not the safest city. I just saw that Damdala was playing there, and I was like, let's go. So we realized very quickly it is not safe. Like,
Yeah.
It's full of homeless people that are on crazy drugs. They're fighting each other.
Gosh.
Like, the police are everywhere. The streets are filthy. Like, I just was, like, so shocked because, you know, we come from Chicago and we see homeless people, but we're actually so fortunate to live in Chicago.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't feel safe there. I don't want to be walking out in the middle of the night. I'd rather Uber, you know, things like that. And she, like, didn't care. And I was just like, okay. We go to this club because we wanted to go out and experience the nightlife. They actually had a lot of, like, it was almost like a Las Vegas, but, like, more, like, sketchy.
Yeah.
So we went to, like, they had these, like, malls with a ton of, like, casinos in them and clubs. So we go to this club, and these guys are following us around. And they were super nice, but, like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to be besties with them. Like,
Yeah.
and I tell her, we go to the bathroom, and I'm like, I really want to leave. I want to get home before midnight because we have to walk home. It was like a mile to our hotel. I'm like, let's leave before midnight because I don't feel safe.
Yeah.
Like, all the men there were so creepy and gross. And she was like, yeah. Like, I was like, I don't want those men following us home. She's like, yeah, let's just Irish goodbye. We won't even say goodbye to them. Like, we'll just sneak out. So, like, we pretend to use the bathroom. And on our way out, we run into them. And she starts making out with one of them.
What?
And I'm like, oh my God, I told you I don't like them. They don't make me feel safe. I'm also so sunburnt and I'm like miserable.
Yeah.
Like, I told her, I'm like, I'm feeling sick. Like, we have to go. And she starts making out with him. So I'm like visibly angry, which doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get angry. And I'm just like, dude, we're leaving. So these men follow us halfway to our hotel. I had to order them an Uber to get rid of them. And she was sitting there acting like she was helping me, but then kept making out with them. And I was just like, I don't like when girls make men more important than their own friends' safety.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that.
Yeah.
A guy, if you get laid that night, it's never more important than making it home safe.
Yeah, for
we
sure.
just met these men. They were much older than us.
So weird.
Like, they did not need to be following us. They followed us on Instagram. I unfollowed both of them. Like, I blocked them. Like, she probably still has them on her accounts. Like, very, like, you don't need that attention from that guy. You just don't. We can walk away from this. So, like, things like that where I just felt unsafe and stuck, like, throughout that entire summer. I'm so excited this summer to experience summer without that baggage and that, like, that, like, dread. Like, I would dread to see her, but I had to because we had all these plans. But fast forward, basically, I ended our friendship because we were supposed to go to this festival together in September, which I go to every year. Mm-hmm. But I was going just with her. And I would have gotten a hotel with my friends, made other plans with other friends, but she told me not to.
Yeah.
So I'm going to this festival just with her, and we don't get a hotel because she told me not to, with the friends I would have gone with otherwise. And she literally the day before, mind you, also didn't text me that entire month prior.
Yeah.
We did not speak all of August. So I already knew it was coming. I knew it was mutual. Like, I knew we weren't going to be friends after that festival. But text me the day before, like, I'm actually going to take my mom to this other concert and we're going to go to Michigan for the weekend. So I'm actually just not even coming. Like, I'll try it. I was like, can you at least sell the ticket to someone I know? Because now I'm going alone.
Yeah.
And have to show up alone and pay for the parking all on my own because we were supposed to split that. So it's just like all these things, like, so not safe. And after what we've been through, like, that is not something you do. Luckily, I had friends to meet up with there, but I had to show up all 3 days by myself. And I was so nervous that I had left my car running on accident because I was just like, I have to get in safe and find my friends so I don't get, like, sex trafficked or like whatever. Stop. You can't hang out with us.
Thank God.
So basically I used that as like we're not going to be friends anymore. And I didn't want to just end the friendship there because I really wanted her to know, like, I want you to go get help. Like, I'm actually really worried about you.
Because at this point for you, you were...
And I cared about her.
Yeah, you were like, you know, we've spent this time together, but clearly you have an issue. Like,
right.
Because it's not... This behavior is not normal.
I also kind of, like, felt bad because I know so many people, like, would talk to me about her because it wasn't hard for a lot of other people to catch on to her. Like, my entire guy group of friends knew she was a liar, especially after she went on that date with our mutual friend. Like, everyone knew she was a liar. And
because she was lying to everybody.
Right. But I felt like, I hope you know. Like, I just wanted her to know, everyone, you're not getting away with this.
Yeah.
You might think you're so good at lying and putting up these personalities that aren't even you. Like, I just wanted her to know, like, we all know about it. Not even in a rude way. Like, you really should figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, maybe this will wake her up. And I also thought if I cut her off, because I don't do those things. Like, I don't get angry. I don't get mad. I don't end friendships. Like, I thought maybe, especially being her best friend, if I did that, she would stop.
Yeah.
And she didn't. So, like, I sent this long breakup text. She never answered me, which was fine. I didn't need an answer. I kept her on, like, social media, but I had taken her off my private stories, whatever. 2 weeks later, we go to see Fred again, which we had planned for months. And and Miley knew this.
Miley knew.
Do you want to get them or...
Ugh, no, it's fine. They're gonna keep working.
So yeah, we go see Fred again all the way in Wisconsin. We had these plans for literally months. And all of a sudden, Miley is there. Literally by herself.
She's there, and then once she's there, removes us from location and
her
everything.
Public story goes out of her way to block us on Instagram stories, which is hard to do. It's not an easy thing to do. And Snapchat. And I get a message from a friend that was hers, but like also had me on Snapchat. And he was like, I'm so excited. You and Miley decided to send it last minute. I can't wait to see you. And I replied to him and I'm like,
oh my God, hold on.
Let me just, basically, he says how he can't wait to see me and Miley. And I'm like, actually, I've had the tickets for months. I'm not going with Miley.
Was never going with Miley.
I don't know where this is coming from. I said, I really don't even know what she's doing today. Whatever.
Yeah.
And then the next day I hang out with one of my friends and she was like, oh, I saw Miley was there. Like, did you run into her? Whatever. Which, mind you, we're also terrified to run into her. We're like scared. We haven't seen her in forever. We're like,
yeah,
what if she pops out of a crevice? Maybe she's coming to find us. Because we found out on the way there that she had like told this guy she was going with us.
Yeah, that's why we were a little freaked out.
We were a
because
little like,
she
are you
told
stalking
people
us?
that she
Right.
was coming with us.
So I see this other friend
true.
the next day and she's like, let me show you her story. And that's where I noticed that she had blocked us.
Yeah.
So not only did she pose it to look like she was with us, she blocked us so we didn't know she was doing that, which is so creepy. Whatever. This is where I remove her on everything because at that point I'm scared. You're stalking me. I don't want you to even know
she was telling
what
people
I'm doing,
at this
where
point
I'm going.
that you were friends.
Right. Like, I just didn't want her to know where I was, what I was up to, what I even look like. Like, I don't want her to know anything about me.
Yeah.
And then I hear through the grapevine, because it gets even more crazy, the lies just got even more wild, that she was basically an entertainment for everyone following her, not even people who knew her vaguely. Like, everyone knew she was a little crazy because she starts posting that she's dating this football player.
We don't need to say where, but
Right.
for a Big Ten school.
For a Big Ten school. And she even took pictures holding some guy's hand and pretended like it was him.
But never a face. So never like a soft face, launch, you know.
And then would post her like cheering for him in the crowd and tag him and then post his plays. Oh, I also find out the music festival she ditched me. She wasn't going to Michigan. She wasn't going to Michigan to meet her family. She was in some state to meet this man for the first time.
Yeah.
So hooking up with a guy. And so my safety wasn't important. Her meeting this man was.
Choose one.
And then people are like sending me screenshots of the posts. I know you were still following her, right? You kind of saw some of this, or
maybe a little in the beginning. Yeah.
And basically,
I stopped following her after the podcast.
My homegirl, I won't say who, because she might not want her name to be labeled on this action. Any names. She was like, you know what? Let me message this man and see if this is real. So she messages this football player because, you know, he's famous, basically. I mean, he plays for a great school. Like,
he's not famous. Don't give him that much credit.
But like, he's got a following.
Yeah.
And people know him.
Like a few thousand followers.
Like my guy friends were like, there's no way. Like, you know, they're making fun of him for playing bad. Like, everyone knows his name. So we DM him and he answered in seconds. And he was like,
we went on like 2 dates.
Yeah. He basically is like, I barely know her. I've met her like 2 to 3 times. Like, it's not like that serious. So I was like, I told my friend to tell him, like, just so you know, she's posing as your girlfriend. Because I also noticed they didn't even follow. Like, she followed him. He didn't follow her back. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, he's your boyfriend. Why isn't he, like, reposting your posts? Or she would post him and not tag him. So it's just like, what are you hiding from him? Yeah. That you're supporting him? Okay.
Yeah. And then he was like, oh, you know, that's weird. Like.
Right. And this is all happening in, like, the football season.
Yeah.
And then in January, I get a DM from her coworker. So basically, I get a DM from a coworker that I've never met before. So he felt that it was important to reach out to me. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey... And at this point, it's been long enough to where people are starting to catch on. We're not friends. Like, we're not posting together. I don't follow her, whatever. And he's like, hey, I noticed you and Miley, like, aren't following each other. Can I just ask, like, are you guys, like, okay? Like, and I'm just like, oh, actually, like, we're not friends. Like, whatever. And he's like, yeah, I wanted to reach out because I stopped being her friend because I noticed a lot of lies on her end. And he basically tells me that Miley said when she met this guy. And this guy, I am under the impression they dated at some point because she told me that he took her to, like, a dance or something, like some work party. And, like, he really liked her and she really liked him, whatever. That's why I followed him, because I was under the impression they were dating at one point. He is, like, saying that she had told him she had a mental health podcast with me. So that she's you, basically. And that, like, creeped me out so bad. I reached out to all my friends that day I found this out and was like, please block her on everything. I don't want her to know anything about me at all.
That's when I removed her from everything, too.
And I let him know. I'm like, well, just so you know, she told me you guys were dating, you know, way back when. And he was creeped out, too. So we're both like, what is going on? Like, this is, like, it's even crazier than I thought it was.
Well, I think what was crazy was the fact that all this time had gone on. We're not friends with Miley anymore. And the lies are still still happening.
And they're still coming. And it's like, how have you not caught on that I always find out?
But it's also like, if somebody, you know, rejected you and kindly, like, told you, you know, this is why I can't be your friend anymore. Right. Like, and I wish you the best.
In the best way, like, I still care about you.
Learn. Right. And is still lying and is still using our names and the lies.
And, like, using it, like, to make herself look good, I'm sure.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to be involved.
Right. Right. And he was like, I remember she like made me follow him because she thought if I followed him, he would reach out to me and tell me about how much he likes her. I don't know why she needed that, but she wanted that.
Yeah.
Which I did it because I was just like, whatever, like, might as well follow the guy my friend's dating. And he tells me that months later, like, because he had checked out our podcast, obviously, he followed me. And he's realized her name was nowhere on it. Which it was never going to be. Even if we were still friends with her, she never would have been a guest or on it, you know? Which, it was so weird, too, when we started the podcast. She wouldn't ever talk about it with me. And, like, yeah, I didn't tell her I was doing that.
Yeah.
But, like, even if I brought it up, she didn't want to talk about it. But then over text would be like, my brother loved your podcast. Like, okay, why can't you talk to me about that in person?
Yeah.
Probably because she was lying to people saying it was her podcast.
Yeah.
And it was probably her idea and, like, everything. Whatever. So basically, that scared me to the point where I was like, I need her to get help now. I'm like, it's actually worse than I thought it was, and I didn't think it could get worse.
Yeah.
So and in the back of my head for a long time, I did want to talk to Miley's mom because I think about our friend Shay, and I think about how we probably should have talked to her mom more than we did.
Yeah.
So I did reach out to Miley's mom, and I sent a whole thing about how I'm very concerned for her and how I very much believe she needs to get help.
Yeah.
And whatever. And basically Miley's mom is terrified. Who wouldn't be? And, but then, like, tries to cover up some of her lies. And I'm just like, okay, she must not understand.
That's her daughter.
And I'm like, okay, maybe she doesn't get how severe this is. So
Yeah.
I tell her even more. And I send her a whole nother thing about more stories, more concerns of mine. And then she's like, okay, this is so serious. I'm going to sit her down with her dad and we're going to talk to her about it. I don't know what the result was because I unedited her whole entire family. I didn't want her to spy on me through them. I don't know. I
think it's just better to not be involved with them anymore either.
That's
you know
how unsafe I had felt
for
too.
you.
So I don't know what the results of that were, but I did find out like a week later she was in the mountains with John Summit. So I don't think she got help because anyone who needs help like that should be in the hospital for probably a good month.
Yeah.
So I don't think she ever got help. I don't know how she got out of it with her parents. But it's not my problem anymore.
No.
I also reached out to her ex-boyfriend too.
Yeah.
Because I knew a lot of her problems were trying to get him back. Like dating a football player, like I know what you're doing.
Yeah. Millie!
What are you doing? You're so crazy. So yeah, and he even told me like, you know, he was like, I'm so glad you caught on, like I knew you would one day, whatever. And then he's just like, is it true she lives in Chicago? And I was like, no way. I'm like, that is just the cherry on top. So she did reach out to her ex since we had stopped being friends and told him that she lives in Chicago, which is where he lives. And she lives hours away from the city.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It like never ends. And I feel like we'll still find out more as time goes on.
I'm sure.
I know that like even her past roommate posted like a roommate nightmare video. We should link it. And the story she told was insane. And hopefully she'll be a guest one day to tell it.
Yeah.
Hopefully she'll be a guest one day to tell this story. But like even that, I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know. It's just wild. Like,
how do you get away with all this? Like,
right.
And I hope, like, at least I open her mom's eyes and she can be more, like, observant of it all. But,
yeah.
And I would love to, like, get a diagnosis. I would love to understand where this stems from in her childhood. I remember one day we were with our guy friends and I was like, for some reason, it was funny to tell them a lie. Like, we were jokingly, like, gonna prank them.
Yeah.
And we were gonna tell them that I was deaf and that she had an iron rod in her leg.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, this iron rod, even after we were like, we're just kidding, this iron rod was so real. And there was no convincing her that it wasn't. Even if I was like, dude, we just made that up for this, like, prank. She was, like, No, it's real. Like, I can't even go through the iron, like the metal detector, which like concerns me because I think she believes all the stuff that she tells people.
Like she starts believing her own lies.
And that's like where it gets messy. Like, I think she believed she was dating that man that everyone following her knew it was fake.
Yeah.
Like, crazy. And I'm so glad it's so far past us because
it's so far gone. But
and it just consumed me, like, trying to figure it all out for so long. And even the day, like, the day that her coworker reached out to me, I was so mad because it ruined my whole day. Because I spent the whole day trying to put more puzzle pieces together after it had not doing that for months. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, I can't let her steal more time. Like, I can't let her.
It's just not worth it.
I think the most sickening thing is how she took advantage of a friend group going through the worst.
Yeah.
Like, we were not there and she took that to her advantage so she could have somewhere to stay for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
100%.
Crazy times.
Story time. Hope y'all.
I hope you guys enjoyed our story and I hope you were able to follow along.
And I hope the dogs barking weren't too annoying. Sorry.
They probably are.
They're
and Mel's
so
gonna be
annoying.
so mad.
Like, Millie's literally scared of a broom right now.
Do you have a little thing this week?
My little thing is that I saw The Weeknd yesterday.
That's a big little thing.
Big
So
thing.
big.
It was amazing. It was my 4th time seeing him. I love him so much.
That's adorable.
He's the best. Did
Love
you?
Abel.
Did you have a little thing?
Well, my little thing, I actually don't remember when this happened, but I think it was within the last week or a couple weeks. My nephew asked if I was a Kardashian.
Oh.
And that happened to me once before in a middle school. And so, slay.
Prissy Kardashian.
It's just the dark hair, but
Love it.
I actually was thinking about how funny that was today.
Well, thanks for watching Stay
And slay.
with Mel.
And Chrissy.
And as always, stay vibrant.
Bye.
Mwah.